We talk about how money all the time here, and tonight we're zeroing in on a certain group, those who are struggling from paycheck to paycheck, but who also don't qualify for help from programs or the government. The United Way has identified this group as ALICE, short for Asset Limited Income Constrained Employed. The organization has found those impacted can't afford basic needs like health care, housing, and child care. The question tonight, how are struggling families surviving with that much needed help? Joining us to talk about it, Nurse Savannah Wetch, parent Dale Lynn Settle, and Margaret Ozer, the VP of Mission and Strategy at United Way of Greater Houston. Margaret, first of all, just how serious is a problem out there? What do you see out there in the trenches in the community?
Well, in the trenches, what we see every day are people who are struggling. They're having to make tough choices. Do I find cheaper housing so I can afford the health care that I need for my family and myself? Do I skimp on the kind of foods that I'm buying for my family? Those kinds of choices are being made every single day. There are programs out there to support people, but so many of them are based on income.
Right.
So they're priced out of a lot of the programming. What we know here in the greater Houston area, 14% of our population is below the poverty level. But there's another 31% that are in that struggling category, bringing it to 45% of our population is struggling financially in this community.
Wow. Dale Lynn, let's hear from you, your thoughts and what you see and what you experience.
Yeah, so a couple of years ago, right after my divorce, I became a newly single mother of 5. And so that was the first time that I actually had to go to work. I was a stay-at-home mom while I was married. So when I got into the workforce, it was a shock to see that my paycheck should have been enough for me to sustain with my 5 children. It got to the point to where we ended up moving in with family for 9 months so that I could save. Then I found myself using some of my talents as a personal trainer, and I own a meal prep company. So now I'm working 3 jobs to provide for all 5 of my kids.
And do you feel yourself still keeping your head above the water with those 3 jobs of barely still surviving?
Yes, but only because I am foregoing something that is very important called rest. I don't rest, and because of that, something's got to give. So it's either I get some rest, or I spend more time with the kids, or I make enough money so that I can provide for the kids. So at this point now, I have chosen to, step back from working as much as I have, but in doing so, some things have to get cut back.
Wow. Savannah, you're a nurse. Your thoughts on this?
I think inflation is definitely making it very hard for people, especially because paychecks are not going up, but the price of everything is going up.
You go to the grocery store and you will be shocked.
Yes.
If you pay attention, you will be shocked.
Yes, it is absolutely insane. So I think maybe companies could consider paying their employees a little more to help with the inflation, because I don't see that happening across the board.
And Margaret, what do you tell those who are in the middle like that? Because as you say, or as this program said, there's nothing that they qualify for because they're above that income level where they would get any assistance. So how do you even tell them to sustain themselves and their families?
So the good news is, as part of the work of United Way, we have put our stake in the ground for that population. So everything that we do in the community is focused on moving people above that threshold so that they're not just surviving, but they're moving into that thriving. And we've created what we call the integrated client journey, and it's a way to bring those resources together that people need based on whatever goals they may have. So if it's changing their skill set for a higher paying job, if it's for that support in resume development, interviewing, if it's to provide some of those basics while they're doing that additional training so they can fill those gaps as they move on in their plan. That's available, and then they can also work with a navigator that can be there for that personal support and coach through that time period.
And Dale Lynn, what do you think you need to do in your future so you can get some rest, but also maintain your household where you don't have to sacrifice something?
So I already started doing a couple of things. The first thing I did was go back to school. I recently graduated from Houston Christian after taking about 20 years off, and so I went back to school, got my degree, and studying now for my master's. And so now the job that I am working at now does provide a better income, but because if you've been behind for so long, it takes a little bit of time to catch up and to get where you need to be. So that would be the first thing that I've done is, you know, make sure that I've sharpened my skills educationally wise, making sure that I'm taking all the trainings that I can at work, and just kind of putting myself out there, making sure that my resume is updated on LinkedIn, and just doing those small things that I can do. But I will say making sure that I save as much as I can and try to catch up and just prioritize. Yeah.
And Savannah, what's next for you? A doctor? Nurse practitioner?
Well, I actually picked up photography to help. So I'm a nurse and a photographer because, you know, you just can't make it. All right, like it's so hard with inflation and everything. 2 kids, even with a second income, it's hard. So, I mean, I think a lot of people are struggling right now.
Well, we wish you guys the best, and for those who are looking for a way, make sure you reach out to the United Way and take a look at their programs. They can guide you and help you. We want to thank you all for joining us.